In just 4 years, Creedence Clearwater Revival became one of the biggest bands on earth. They sold millions of records, released 7 platinum albums, placed 14 consecutive singles in the top 10, and somehow never had a #1 hit. But while the music sounded effortless, behind the scenes, CCR was falling apart. Creative battles, business disputes, brother against brother, and a frontman who would spend decades fighting the very songs that made him famous. This is the story of Creedence Clearwater Revival's meteoric rise and one of the most dramatic collapses in rock history. Long before they were CCR, they were just 4 teenagers from El Cerrito, California. John Fogerty and his older brother Tom grew up obsessed with music. Along with drummer Doug Clifford and bassist Stu Cook, they formed a band in the late 1950s called the Blue Velvets. Like countless garage bands of the era, they played local dances and copied the artists they loved. But unlike most garage bands, they stuck together. As the British invasion exploded across America, the group reinvented themselves as the Golliwogs. The name wasn't their choice. Their record label thought it sounded British and marketable. The band hated it. The records went nowhere. By 1967, they seemed destined to become another forgotten local act. Then everything changed. John Fogerty returned from military service with a new vision. The band abandoned the Golliwogs' identity. They changed their name to Creedence Clearwater Revival, a strange combination of a friend's name, a beer commercial, and a belief that the group was getting a fresh start. The timing couldn't have been better. America was changing, and CCR was about to become the soundtrack. Their self-titled debut arrived in 1968. It featured a thunderous cover of Susie Q. The song became a surprise hit and introduced America to John Fogerty's unmistakable voice. But the real explosion came in 1969. Few bands in history have ever had a year like CCR's 1969. Within 12 months, they released 3 albums. Not 1, 3. Bayou Country, Green River, and Willie and the Poor Boys, each one packed with hit after hit. Proud Mary, Bad Moon Rising, Green River, Down on the Corner, Fortunate Son. The songs were everywhere. What's remarkable is that CCR didn't look like rock stars. There were no elaborate costumes, no psychedelic theatrics, no larger-than-life personas. While bands like the Beatles were experimenting in the studio, and groups like Led Zeppelin were redefining hard rock, CCR built their reputation on simplicity. 3-minute songs, memorable hooks, working-class storytelling, and a sound that somehow felt Southern, despite being created by 4 Californians. John Fogerty had never even visited the Bayou, yet he created one of the most convincing musical worlds in rock history. By 1970, CCR was arguably the biggest band in America. They played massive festivals, headlined arenas, and became one of the defining voices of the Vietnam era. Songs like Fortunate Son captured frustrations with class inequality and the draft. Without sounding preachy, CCR became the soundtrack to a turbulent America. Success seemed unstoppable, but underneath it all, the cracks were already forming. The secret to CCR's success was also the source of its downfall. John Fogerty wasn't just the singer, he was the songwriter, lead guitarist, producer, arranger, and creative leader. Virtually every aspect of the band's music ran through him. The formula worked, but it created resentment. Tom, John's older brother, felt increasingly marginalized. Stu Cook and Doug Clifford began to feel more like employees than equal band members. While CCR appeared democratic from the outside, many decisions were made by one person. John later argued that his leadership was necessary. The results certainly backed him up, but success doesn't always eliminate tension. Sometimes it magnifies it. By 1971, the relationship between the brothers had become especially strained. Years of frustration boiled over. Tom decided he'd had enough. He quit the band. For most groups, losing a founding member would be devastating. CCR tried to push forward. Instead, things got worse. After Tom left, John made a decision that would change everything. Tired of being accused of controlling the band, he proposed a new arrangement. Everyone would contribute equally. Everyone would write songs. Everyone would sing. It sounded fair. In reality, it was a disaster. The result was 1972's Mardi Gras. John contributed only a fraction of the material. The rest came from Stu Cook and Doug Clifford, who had little songwriting experience compared to him. Critics were merciless. One famous review called the album equivalent to watching a talented athlete compete with weights tied to his legs. Fans noticed the difference immediately. The magic was gone. The album sold because it carried the CCR name, but the momentum had vanished. Within months, Creedence Clearwater Revival was finished. In October 1972, one of the most successful bands of the era officially broke up. No farewell tour, no grand announcement, just an abrupt ending. 4 years after becoming stars, CCR was over.
We make a river, call you love. We make a barking of the house.
Unfortunately, the breakup wasn't the end of the story. In many ways, it was just the beginning. The band became embroiled in years of legal disputes.
That contract we signed was actually before I had written any of the songs. So they came into being not in my ownership ever. Saul owned all the songs that I wrote during the Creedence era. Saul was suing me.
At the center was John Fogerty's relationship with record label owner Saul Zaentz. John claimed he had signed away valuable rights early in his career. The battle became deeply personal. One of the strangest lawsuits in music history followed. Zaentz sued John Fogerty, claiming that his solo hit, The Old Man Down the Road, sounded too much like John Fogerty. Think about that. A songwriter was accused of plagiarizing himself. Fogerty eventually won, but the experience left scars. For years, he refused to perform many CCR songs. Meanwhile, relationships within the band remained fractured. Perhaps most painful was the relationship between John and Tom. The brothers never fully reconciled before Tom's death in 1990, a heartbreaking ending to one of rock's most successful partnerships. Today, Creedence Clearwater Revival's catalog remains one of the most beloved in rock history. Their songs continue to appear in movies, television, sporting events, and playlists around the world. Unlike many bands from the late 1960s, CCR's music never feels trapped in its era. They're American standards, and that's what makes the story of CCR so fascinating. The rise was almost unmatched. The fall was shockingly fast. A band that conquered the world in 4 years and spent decades dealing with the consequences. Sometimes the brightest flames burn the quickest, but even after all the lawsuits, feuds, and heartbreak, the music endured. And in the end, that's why we're still talking about Creedence Clearwater Revival more than 50